Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to call the special meeting of December 2nd, 2020 to order. Ben, we take the roll call, please.
Sure. Deputy Mayor Napolitani. Here. Council members Achara.
Here.
Donlin.
Here.
Fisher.
Here.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Here. The notice requirement for the Open Public Meeting Act has been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press, posted in Town Hall, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk on December 30, 2019, and revised November 25th, 2020. I'm going to ask all the audience to please keep yourselves on mute so we don't pick up any ambient noise. And when we open it up to the public, at that time you can unmute yourselves one at a time. I'm not going to forego the fire exit procedures. So tonight we have here, Resolution 20-2003. Preliminary resolution relieving Michael F. Masillo as Township Manager. Anybody from the audience has anything, that will be the time to speak to this resolution.
Just state your name and address.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
We got filter effect here.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, hi. I'm not really sure how this works because I've never attended something like this before. I guess one of my first questions are, does employment within the township work in the way a corporate structure would, where an employee is given a, reviews or so many meetings before describing what performance they're doing, if it's good or bad, or what type of changes are required before a termination can be given?
Marty, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, I would say the answer is not really. There may be reviews, but the council pretty much has two employees who they can hire or terminate, and that is the township manager and Vinny the clerk. Other than that, the manager does the day-to-day business and operations. So the statute is, indicates when a manager can be terminated by the council, which is pretty much up to the discretion of the council. We're not going to get into any details here about this. This is a preliminary resolution, and it's a personnel matter, and that's about the size of it right now.
So how can one fairly operate within a system? Because each office has its own office culture and structure, and we all start a job, right? We all try to bring our best experience to that project. So if Mr. Masillo was somehow, as it's stated here, has lost the confidence of the council, is he not given any guidance? I mean, I guess it just seems quite unfair to me. I'm a little bit concerned because I've had very good experiences as a resident of the community with Mr. Masillo. He is straightforward. He's very direct. He's not doesn't have a swagger like some other people may have on the council in terms of personality of trying to make everyone happy. But he's very direct, and he was very professional. And anytime he couldn't fulfill one of my requests, he'd get back to me, explain to me why, tell me he'd follow up. He always followed up, and as well as actually saw several things through that were safety issues. Like he made sure that we had these crosswalks that we get neighbors from Joy Drive right across to the park because they were always kind of queuing up in my driveway. And he saw through a number of things that I had questions on, and he got back to me. He's just very professional. So I just think it would be professional of us as a administration, as a township, to say, hey, you're getting an A+ in all of this, but there's room for improvement over here. Should you give him that consideration? I don't know if he even wants it, but I mean, it just seems like the fair thing to do.
Thank you.
Right. Anybody else?
Can I ask another question since everyone else sounds kind of quiet?
Well, there's 3 lines lit up here, green. I think other people want to
I'll
speak.
listen. All right. Okay.
Anybody else? No? Okay.
So this is Ray Pogwist,
Yes.
1308 Vina Ave. My question is, you won't get into the specifics of the allegations. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why is that, Marty? It's a public meeting,
Well, basically, this is a personnel matter.
but it's a public
And
meeting.
typically, we don't get into the specifics of any issues. This is a preliminary resolution.
No, it's not. It's a, Marty, hold on. It's not a preliminary resolution, Marty. It's a resolution to terminate somebody. There's no preliminary about it.
So,
So,
Rob, it's a preliminary resolution for the termination. There's a suspension involved. However, the employee, in this case Mike, has the right to ask for a hearing.
correct.
And we're not going to conduct a hearing now when Mike hasn't requested.
But we're going
So
to answer
that
public's,
will happen.
but Marty, hold on, Marty.
Will happen.
But we're going to answer the public's questions when they ask why the person is being terminated.
No, we're not going to.
Why?
answer the
Where does
question.
it,
We
Marty,
put in the resolution.
where does it say that?
The reason why, Rob, wait till I finish.
No, tell me where it says it.
We put in the resolution the reasons why, and we'll vote on that resolution. And then if Mike wants a hearing, we'll have a hearing about that.
So that's fine, he can opt for the hearing. But if a member of this town has a question as to why he is being terminated and why this resolution exists, they have every right to know. There is nothing written anywhere that says that this needs not happen today. So I understand what you're saying. Hold on, let me finish now.
Go ahead.
He's got 20 days, between 20 and 30 days to appeal. If he doesn't appeal, then this is a moot issue and there is no option for anybody in town to ask any other questions. This is their opportunity in a public meeting. Don't use the personnel comment, because if it was personnel and because we rights noticed him, it isn't a public meeting. So he's accepted that. So he and the town has every right to answer questions, and we have every right to provide them with the answers. Show me where it's written that we don't do that. Not your opinion, show me where it's written.
Well, you know what? It's based on my opinion that we don't do that at this time.
Okay, so that's your opinion, I disagree with it.
Public hearing.
Okay,
If requested, and we'll do it at that time.
but Mike may not request a public hearing.
That's correct.
So then this is
Want to
it.
discuss in public.
So the town has the right to know.
Okay. You have that position, I understand.
Thank you, Rob.
Anybody else?
Is it my understanding that the council discussed this privately before this meeting?
No, that's not correct.
That's
Hold
what I
on,
heard in the
Marty.
November 5th meeting.
Right,
That
Marty,
The mayor actually said, well, we discussed it during a ball game or whatever. That's recorded. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Right. We,
Very good. That's all I wanted to know about that.
well, we discussed it
I do support
individually.
Mike.
Just hold on one second.
Go ahead, Ray.
Just understand what the mayor said.
It's been recorded.
Dude,
Yeah,
just to
okay.
understand what the mayor said it might have been discussed individually with individual members. It was not discussed at any meeting, and not discussed with a group of council people at one time.
But it was discussed without a rights notice.
Right, the way we hired him was the way we discussed it. He was hired that way.
But that doesn't mean it was legal.
He was hired that way.
It doesn't mean it was
Oh,
legal,
and then he's
Mayor.
here illegally.
No,
Okay.
the conversation,
Thank you,
hold
Ray.
on, I'm
That's
talking,
right.
Mayor, you're out of
Hey,
order.
I answered it.
Hold on, I'm
No, I'm not
answering
holding
it.
on.
Hold on.
Go ahead, Rob.
So the question was there discussion amongst the council
Mhm.
about the manager?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that is illegal since the manager wasn't
Okay.
provided a rights
Well, now
notice.
he's rights notice, and now
So
he's
what
doing
we
it legal.
did
So
previously
he
with
took no
your
action.
email, hold on,
He
Mayor.
took no action,
It
Rob.
doesn't,
It
so,
matters.
of course it doesn't matter.
Right.
The fact that we're having a personnel discussion without a rights notice is in violation of municipal code. So
That
now,
is incorrect, Rob.
how is that
It is
incorrect?
not correct. If you had a meeting of 3 people in a quorum and had that discussion, you would be correct. But for one councilman to talk to another councilman.
On a
and say,
personnel
"I'm
matter."
with somebody or something, is not a violation of the rights notice.
On a personnel matter. Marty,
Yes.
on a personnel matter, so that we can discuss personnel amongst ourselves as long as quorum doesn't exist?
If there's no quorum, one person can talk to another person.
About hold on, about
In sequence, one after another. Is that correct? Is that legal?
That didn't happen that way, no.
How do we know?
I'm telling you.
What was the question?
If it was done in sequence, the mayor called one councilman and then called another one,
Right.
and a councilwoman and the councilman.
That's what happened.
No, it's not what happened.
Of course it is.
No, that happened in your case.
So
In
you-
my case,
Yeah, exactly.
each individual
This is
ca-
my
Ray?
One at a time.
version of what happened to me.
I'm gonna tell you,
I would also
hey, Ray.
say, if I had 45 days
Okay.
after the fact that I knew that I also fell under the rights.
so is this about you or about this resolution? All right, so
Okay.
individually, and when I said ball game, it's metaphorically speaking, there was no ball games. We had events, we had a movie. One of the council members would come up to you and say, hey, you know, I'm a little concerned about the way this is going. Oh, we'd have a little dialogue. Next week, we'd have another event. Maybe we're having a drive-in concert. This is actually what happened. Another council member would come up to you and say, hey, you know, I'm not so happy with this or that. Okay, a little discussion. And that went on for a little bit. You know, it wasn't like an immediate, in quick, rapid succession. That went on throughout the summer, almost right up until now. And then finally, when a decision was rendered, then I called one other council member who wasn't involved in those kind of discussions and mentioned it. That was the only phone call.
But the other
But this is
conversation,
how the manager was hired though that way. Just so you know, I
Right.
called each individual council member in one at a time at that time to you know, have them reconsider his application, and he did.
Mr. Mayor, that logic doesn't make sense. A person being hired isn't obligated, the council isn't obligated to follow a rights
I'm
notice
just
for a
saying,
whole
Rob,
lot to follow a rights
there's nothing
notice. when-
unusual about it.
Of course it is, it's illegal. It's,
Rob, it's not illegal. The rights notice is when we're going to discuss it at a meeting, which we then sent the rights notice, which we have for today. That is when you have to send the rights notice. Obviously, in order to get to that point, there has to be some sense by somebody. How do you get a resolution on for a meeting? Unless there's some sense from somebody that this is where you're headed. So there's some internal discussions, one at a time, whatever, and that's apparently what happened here.
Okay, so-
there was not required to be a rights notice for the discussion that the mayor may have had with an individual member or prior to the meeting with Mike. But right now, we're here to discuss, well, really not to discuss, we're just here to pass this resolution.
Well, we can
and
discuss it.
proceed to see whether Mike wants to hear it.
no, we're here to discuss it too, Marty.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
Ray, are you done?
Yeah, I'm done for now. Jim, I see you.
Also, this is Jim Bay. Am I in a mode where I could speak if I was requesting to speak, or can you not hear me?
No, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, after Jackie's done, please, may I speak?
Oh, go ahead, I've already spoken.
This is Jim Bay, David Street, and I'd like to request that this resolution not be voted on today, and I'd appreciate David and Margie if you wouldn't vote on this resolution today. I'd also like to have the people of the township informed as to the specifics in a public forum before the resolution is voted on. I don't know what the specific concerns are, and I believe the people should know what the specific concerns are that are serious enough that the city manager would be removed. And I'm specifically asking you not to vote on this resolution today, and I'm specifically asking that you inform the people so that before this resolution is voted on, we have the full series of facts before you vote on this resolution. And I thank you very much for your concerns here, David and Margie, on not voting on this evening. And I'll give the floor back to the other people at this time. Thank you. This is Jim Bay.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I think what Jim just said, it should be under discussion before a vote is given.
Who is this, Ray?
You know, I also just want to say one of the comments that were made that individually different council members came to Mayor saying they had some displeasure with, I guess, an incident. I don't know why each one of them didn't just discuss directly with our town manager. You know, why did it have to come to you? Why they couldn't just speak to the town manager and say, hey, in the future, can we work it out this way? I mean, is there a formality that a council member is not allowed to speak to the town manager? It has to go through the mayor?
No. No.
I just feel he was blindsided, and I think during this economy where the work for getting a new job is certainly more challenging than it's ever been in our lifetime. It just seems quite unfair, and I think when it's saying that you have all lost the confidence, it almost is like, you know, it's listening when Ray says it reminds him of what happened to him. I remember the comment about Ray was he was inappropriate. And at the time, you know, like the whole Me Too movement was out, and like I thought, my God, that sounds terrible. Like he may have done something, you know, really inappropriate and made someone uncomfortable, and that was not the case at all. So when they're so vague, it almost creates looks like the person's character is in question, and I think that's an unfair thing to do, a grossly unfair thing to do. So I think I'm in agreement with Jim Day that we should have the township should know, like, you know, in general what went on, why it was so severe that he's being let go at such a, you know, tough economic time in the country.
Jackie, this is Vinny, if I might. The resolution you're looking at was a previous one. The one that's being voted on tonight removed item number 2 and 3, just so you're aware.
Okay, thank you.
Jackie, thank you. This is Ray Pogos again. I want to give Mike the opportunity to air all this out. I was never given this opportunity, and thus I would like to see this done this time. Thank you.
Well, as I understand it, I don't know if Mr. Masillo can speak now, he's welcome to, but I think he has 20 days, right, Marty, to object and then have a public hearing, is that right?
That's correct. He can request a public hearing.
What about right now, speaking?
Well, I would suggest, I can't counsel Mike, but, and I'm not going to stop him from talking, but I think if he wanted to speak, he'd request a public hearing. And
Mr. Masillo advised me,
rather than do it now.
he advised me he has no comment at this time.
Okay.
Okay, Ray? Okay, anybody else? Chief?
Yeah. Chief Peters from the Police Department. This really, I know you're going to vote on this resolution, and that's fine. 2 things. One, I just want to wish the best to Mr. Masillo, his family, his wife Tara Lee, his son Sammy, and his son Michael, because certainly he did dedicate a lot of his time and energy to the township. Secondly, once this resolution is passed, we do not have a township manager. Under our form of government, we're supposed to have one immediately, which I thought maybe this meeting would be the public discussion on the appointment of a temporary officer until you guys figure out the interim and the plan of getting a professional in here, so forth and so on. My only concern with this, and the reason I bring it up, is because should we have an issue at 2 o'clock today, where do we go? We can't go to council, they don't deal with personnel. We need a resolution for an appointee, and I was hoping that I know it wasn't on the agenda, Mr. Mayor, but very important when I think of liability and issues of operation, employee status, employee good health, because really the whole town right now is upside down employee-wise, because you know who do we go to if we have an issue? So I just want to make sure that today, before we close, that's addressed and we segue into somebody just temporary until you get things figured out.
I was going to address that, Chief.
Okay, I didn't know if you were. It wasn't on the agenda.
I wasn't going to
Thank
do
you.
it today, but now that you mentioned, I will. I will bring it up. That's it. Okay, so with that, no,
This is Jim Bay again. You said you had addressed that.
I'm going to address it now.
Tell me how you had addressed that.
Doing it right now.
Now, who is the interim
Well,
that we were not informed about?
we don't have an interim yet, Jim. We haven't appointed anybody. As it stands now, we have department heads that run each department. And I think for the next couple of days, they would be very capable of handling that. However, if it's not illegal, I thought they could report to mayor and council if there's any emergency.
Yeah.
Until we appoint an interim manager, I can have an interim manager here tomorrow.
Well,
No,
when you
well-
say I, Mayor, it's the
We
council.
can have an interim manager
That's
here
one.
tomorrow.
Two, so
That's
obviously-
qualified.
So obviously.
But I was going to give us the opportunity to to discuss it at our tomorrow council.
Yeah, but we're
Well,
gonna have
we
this
can't.
time
The
period,
code-
nobody, you can't do that.
Fine.
Okay, that's all I ask. Just, pick somebody temporarily. and
Okay,
do
well-
a temporary resolution, and we're fine, we're covered.
Okay. We'll have, so I'll pick somebody from the township.
Yeah.
We'll pick
Well, I'll
something.
pick somebody to trust.
What does that
You don't
mean?
get to do that. We have
Yeah,
to,
okay.
we have to create a
Okay.
resolution now and vote on it.
Fine.
What comment is that when somebody we can trust?
I need
That's
somebody I can
very,
trust in.
Very concerning.
Why do you keep saying
Why
that?
should you be concerned about that?
You don't trust any of your department?
I didn't say that.
You certainly just said, don't spin it. You just
No,
said
it's
somebody I
somebody
can
somebody
trust.
we can
That's
trust.
concerning, Mayor.
Okay.
You're an elected official. That's very concerning.
It is, I should be able to trust everybody.
But that's
You're right.
say it
Okay.
calmly.
So that being said, is the clerk someone that's available to do that, Ben? Can we appoint you temporarily until we can have an interim manager here? Which I think at tomorrow's meeting, we're going to discuss that.
And I think it puts me in a little bit of an awkward position at this point to make a decision. It's kind of put me in an awkward position.
We just need a point person, somebody to go to.
We have to do it by resolution. so
Yeah, we don't have a resolution prepared.
We'll have to prepare.
It would have to be done today.
Okay.
I'm not saying you have to say yes, but we have to prepare a resolution.
Okay.
Ron has been
Acting manager before.
acting or interim, wrong choice, acting in Mike's absence in the past. Again, I'm not passing the buck.
No.
but If you're saying no,
If you're telling me
Well, is Ron Kirk here?
he is here,
Work.
if you're telling me you'll have a decision by tomorrow, then in this interim, I will do it.
Yeah, just in case we have something happen.
If something
We got
happens, I
Vinny to
will
go
do it.
to, and we have
And
somebody
then
to
you can make a
decision.
decision, or give you
Tomorrow,
a
we
chance
have to
tomorrow night.
reappoint
Correct.
or somebody. we can do.
Yeah.
So today, do you want to take a recess, do a resolution?
Yeah, I guess
You
we
wanna
want, is
hand
that
mine,
correct,
Marty?
Marty?
Well, I think we should proceed with what we're doing and then, recess so we can get a resolution prepared. That names you, on an interim basis, and hopefully this can get resolved tomorrow.
It's going to get resolved one way or another.
We'll get you off the hook quick.
There's no manager until that's done, correct?
Okay.
What do you do with the rest of the time?
Oh, well, they're gonna take a recess.
Make a motion to close the public hearing on resolution.
Close this on the vote?
You don't close the public
No?
hearing.
Okay. Motion on,
Just ask if there's any more comments.
any other comments on the resolution?
I have a question, Mayor, if I may.
Now's the
I
time.
don't know what it takes to make these resolutions up, how long it takes and so forth, but suppose you can't come to some kind of resolution today, even at 5 o'clock.
We just
oh,
did.
no, it'll
No, no.
take.
We just did. Then he accepted the temporary appointment.
Until tomorrow night.
And council has approved that?
Well,
I didn't
No,
hear
until you're
it.
replaced.
No, tomorrow night.
I'm just thinking if there's a gap in there, you never know what could happen.
It's going to be in the
Taking care of it
resolution.
right now, so.
Okay.
Tomorrow night? Okay. Well, hopefully they have somebody appointed in resolutions by tomorrow night. At the publication, that'd be good.
We will.
That's good. All right, sounds good.
Okay.
So this is Jim May, may I speak?
Sure.
Vinny, you
Yeah.
had mentioned that number 2 and 3 were no longer on the resolution.
That is correct.
Administratively, do we need X number of days notice to the public of what the resolution is that will be voted on?
The change was,
And
the
can
change
you
was,
administratively remove those points?
sure, any resolution can be amended up until it's approved. However, the change was made yesterday and put up on the website, so again, depending on when people looked at it or printed it out, they could have seen an initial one, but that was changed early yesterday.
Is that the correct time frames for administratively changing them?
Sure, resolutions can be changed up to the time they're voted on.
Let's
Thank you.
temporarily put you in here. Yeah.
Benny,
I still-
I'm sorry, Jackie again. I pulled up the resolution today, so the only one I see is at number 1, failing to work harmoniously with the township council.
That's the one that's being voted on.
Is that what we're voting on?
That is correct.
Can you elaborate, what does that mean exactly? What does it mean?
Philosophical differences.
Yeah, I think it speaks for itself.
Okay.
Again, we're not going to get into any specific issues, but I think it speaks for itself.
Do you hear me?
I don't agree with you, Marty. Harmoniously is a very colorful word. It's not specific.
I agree.
I think it should be more specific. Failing to do its homework, failing to hold the door open for people, failing to work harmoniously is very subjective. I mean, people find harmoniousness in different ways. So I think this really needs to be more specific.
Can you give examples of it?
No, we're not going to give
Not
examples of it.
specific, but examples.
We're not going to give examples of it
Looks like
right
it just-
now.
Marty, you're not, the questions go to the chairperson, which is Chris. So hold on before you're answering it. And then again, why aren't we giving examples? That's your opinion that we're not going to. If the rest of the council wants to offer their opinion on why they're hiring a town manager after 2.5 or 3 years without any explanation, that's fine. But don't make the decision for them.
I'm making the decision for the council. If an individual council person wants to say something, I'm not going to stop them from talking. Okay?
That's fine.
I didn't know the attorneys were allowed to weigh in on this. I thought they were only allowed to weigh in if they were asked of their opinion.
Well, I believe that the mayor had asked me early on to respond to this question, so that's what I've done.
That
No, I
question,
didn't hear them.
not every question, that question. He didn't open the door for everything that's said here for you to comment, Mr. Arbus. He asked
I
a
can't
specific
hear. I
question.
didn't hear what you-
Okay, well, under the circumstances, Mr. Arbus can answer on my behalf, because again, there is a 20 to 30 day period where Mr. Masillo has the right to appeal. So I'm gonna be measured and careful as to what I'm gonna answer here.
Just to
And I just
clarify.
think it's prudent that way,
30-day time period
not to elaborate.
with Mr.
Hold on, Marty.
You
Hold
know,
on,
Mike
Chris is
and Ann for
speaking.
a hearing.
Hang on, Marty.
And-
Marty, sit tight. Chris is,
Let me finish. It's a 30-day.
You're out of
period,
order.
which you can ask for a hearing, and then the hearing takes place 20 or 30 days thereafter.
Right, okay, anyway. So, with that being said, I'm not gonna answer those questions at this time. Anybody else wants to? Now would be the time before we move the resolution. Did you have something?
Okay,
Rob?
again, this is Jim May. And again, I'd like you to please let the public know what the specifics are before you vote on this resolution. Before you vote, please let the public know what the specifics are. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. This is Jim May.
This is Ray Foglis. Do all the members of the council know specifically what they are?
No.
No? What was the answer?
No.
All
No.
the council members do not know what harmoniously stands for?
No, one council member answered.
Do they want to speak to the people and without, I guess, being personal since Mike, I don't know, has Mike been given the opportunity to say he's cool with us talking about it?
I have no comment.
Mr. Masillo commented that he has no comment.
Okay. Anyway, I think, I disagree with the fact that you're voting on a legal document here with the word harmoniously. It's too vague, in my opinion.
That's your opinion, thank you. I was gonna add, Vinnie, you mentioned that up until it's voted on, the resolution can be amended. So why not just one sentence that temporarily we appoint the clerk Vin Buttiglieri as the contact person, interim manager?
I'd like a separate resolution. I just don't want to, this is one resolution.
Okay, I just thought for efficiency.
I mean, it'll take 3 seconds
Okay.
to do it.
No problem.
Point of clarification. Sure. Does it actually need to be written?
Yeah.
Well, my point is, do we need to adjourn? Can we do it?
We can-
Your point, it's 3 seconds, and I know what it's going to say,
Okay.
so I'm asking.
No, and we can do this. Mr. Arbus,
Yes.
would you quickly, while the discussion's continuing, if it is continuing, just jot down something?
I will attempt to do so. Recognize I'm at my home, and my
Understood.
skills doing, except for handwriting it out, are limited. So,
It could be very basic. Because
yes.
while he's doing that, you can do whatever else.
Okay. All right. everybody's had their bite of the apple. Someone please move the resolution 2203. Get the motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
So before I vote, I do have a couple of things to say. This is certainly something that should not be considered lightly. I have also, as the chief expressed, got to know Mike and Tara Lee since he's been here. Appreciate the contribution you've made to the town. You've always given 100% my opinion. You've always stepped up when asked to. You've always been there for me personally. I can't speak for the other council members. This is unfortunate that this is taking place. When you started, we did a 6-month evaluation, and your evaluation was stellar. After something happened in town where somebody blamed you for something that didn't necessarily go their way, your following evaluation plummeted. And I have those right here. So this is clearly a vendetta where certain council members have taken the time over the course of a year, if not more, to get you out of this position. They have tried to do everything possible to identify challenges that you've not been able to fulfill, tasks that you haven't completed, and it's clear that they are, in most cases, violating the Faulkner Act because you run the town. We set policy and you run the town. That has not happened in at least the last year and a half to 2 years. The mayor and the deputy mayor have done everything humanly possible to make your job a nightmare. And they've done everything possible to make the town not run the way it has always run. This town was a shining example of nonpartisan government. We have, over the years, had various mayors, be it Democrat or Republican, and the council, mayors, and council members on both sides. But the manager has always been hands-off. The manager has always done his job, regardless of the political environment within the council. That unfortunately changed this year, a couple of years ago, And it's a shame that people have tried to conspire amongst each other, conspired with employees to create an atmosphere here, not only for you that's dangerous, but for the rest of the employees. Dangerous in the sense of the council is not responsible for the day-to-day operations. And when there are multiple people that they feel they need to be responsible to, the quality of the work, the performance, the ability for the people to get their jobs done, and this includes the police department, suffers. And it suffered greatly over the last two and a half years since this started. I started watching Challenger, the final flight last night, and watched all 4 episodes. And it was very interesting that NASA was trying to cover up the challenge with the O-rings until a number of people spoke out. Whether it was Sally Ride, who realized what was going on, whether it was Richard Cook, Alan McDonald, they were brave. They stood up and they spoke out and saw what was going on and called out NASA for what it was, that they were rushing through things, that they had an ulterior plan, that they had a scheme going on to make sure that the shuttles were flying. It reminded me of what was going on here in town. It reminds me that a handful of council people are trying to run this government not the way it's intended to be run, by the Faulkner Act. And we're suffering because of that. As a council member, I'm embarrassed. As a resident, it's disappointing. As a taxpayer, I don't see my money being put to good use based on the way the town should be and has been run previously, with former mayors, with former town managers. It's unfortunate, and it's a shame. And I'm one single vote. I pretty much understand how this is going to go down. But it's unfortunate that it has to come to this. Your evaluations, as I said, were fine when we started. And then when something took place that changed that, the numbers just dropped. And it, again, I believe this is a personal vendetta against you, Mike. So I apologize on behalf of myself and for what it's worth to council. I wish you all the best. I will be voting no.
Councilmember Donlin.
Yes.
Repeat, please. I didn't hear what she said.
She did say yes.
Did she? Okay. Councilmember Fisher. Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. Okay. Resolution's been passed, and Mr. Musilla was dismissed effective immediately on an administrative leave. And that concludes our meeting. Thank you, everybody.
Hold on, you have
one more?
the Marty thing.
Okay. Marty?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, I just sent you something real, my email that is just very basic. Look through it. You did the normal resolution language, but just pretty much says, well, you can read it on the email. Hopefully, you'll get it.
I don't have the ability to look right now during the meeting.
Can he
And
read it?
prepare a resolution because I
Yeah, you read it. Well,
I don't have my email.
He can read it to us. I want to hear it.
Marty,
They want you to read it, please.
email it to all of us, Marty.
yeah, Rob.
Wait, hold on 1 second. You guys challenging my computers.
I would like to hear it. I just,
Yeah, no,
He's
okay.
he's
We
emailing
have
me,
to,
John.
in order to vote on it.
Yeah, I don't want to vote on
that's what I
anything.
mean. Plus,
A minute. Okay. It just says, whereas the township needs to appoint an interim manager immediately based upon the suspension of the existing manager, Vincent Pugliari is hereby appointed as interim manager immediately and will replace the meeting currently scheduled for December 3rd, 2020.
but effective immediately. That's what I was concerned about. Yeah. Catastrophes just happen anymore. We don't need that much time to.
I'll put it up once I see it. But I want
So
to
you're
make sure
able
we
to
get
pass
it.
the resolution without explaining what our motion is?
Yes.
Okay.
And-
You know, Marty?
I know, Marty.
Yeah, hi, Marty. You know, on a couple of town meetings, well, you've said things to me that I don't speak for the people, and then because I wasn't voted in, and you know, we go back and forth about that. But I have to say, I'm a little disappointed that Ms. Donnellan, Councilman Donnellan or Fisher didn't have anything to say. I feel like sometimes I'm happy I wasn't on the council because I'm able to speak my mind. I feel like this is such a big decision, and if they're saying yes to this resolution, they must have a reason, and they must, you know, I feel we never hear from them, and I don't know if that's part of the law. When it's your first year as council member, you're meant to be silent. But they said, you know, Marcy received the most votes of anyone on that council, and I wish I could hear from her more. I really do. As a woman, I'd like to hear. Sometimes I feel like the women are not able to speak. I don't know if they're purposely silent or that's just Mr. Donald's choice. And obviously, she's just had a baby, and congratulations again, Margie, on that. But I would like to hear more from you, Margie, perhaps as things go forward, because you're a very intelligent woman. And to have, you know, always these guys pushing things around, I just want to make sure that they allow you to speak. My vote, I just would like to speak to that. My vote is my own, and I don't want to say anything in the public meeting that would further hurt Mike. And that's all I can say at this moment. Okay, thank you.
Let me also reply, Jackie, that's not what I say. I don't say you don't speak for the people. I say you don't speak for all the people. And it's not because you didn't get elected, but it's just that when you make your comments as this you're the town, I just say you don't speak for the entire town. That's what I'm
No,
saying.
I never say I do. I say I speak for the people that email me and
Shut up.
write. I speak for the people that are shy to speak up. I never say I speak for
He's
the
not
town.
elected.
I have, well, you
No,
have
we
me
gotta
to
lose.
represent the town, and aren't you the town, or we the town? And I said, well, you don't speak for all the people. That's all I say. But that's enough of that.
You don't have to-
Okay.
No, but at least I get to speak. I feel some of the council members don't get to speak, and I don't know if they're shy or it's just part of the protocol for their first meeting.
I don't think that's it, but okay.
Hey,
Jackie,
Marty.
can I answer the question myself? Like
I'm
Margie,
Hey, Mr. Fisher would like to answer the question.
like Margie, my vote is my own, and I feel at this time it's best not to make a comment on Mr. Musillo's appointment.
So the majority wins, even though it's clear that Mr. Chair is in support of Mr. Musillo.
That's the way it goes.
Majority
That's how it
vote.
usually works.
Elections have consequences.
Well, I appreciate that Mr. Chair spoke up. I think he said a lot of things that a lot of the people are feeling. So anyway, thank you, Rob.
You're welcome. Hey, Marty, just for the record, can you read the last part of the whereas? So he's starting immediately, and when is it going until? I'm sorry, you kind of got more mumbled, and I just want to make sure we're all clear on what that end date is.
Said, until replaced at the meeting, currently scheduled for December 3rd, 2020.
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
What if they just re-up the ordinance? Let's say you don't come to an agreement tomorrow night, would they just re-up the ordinance to keep it going?
Well,
Resolution.
this will
sorry.
probably, Vinnie we may have to deal with Vinnie leaving, but.
Nah, he's staying. He's
But that-
I don't see why,
committed.
Rob had mentioned about
There's-
Ron Kirk, I don't see why Ron would not be willing to fulfill this on a very temporary basis.
Yeah.
But I'll go down right after this meeting and find out. Can I ask him?
You're good with this? The way it's written?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Mayor, if I may, so many things happen these days. Jack Kearns on Beach Road Place. So many things happen these days out of nowhere. Calamities of all kinds. That for what the chief has mentioned could happen here. God help us if it does, but it could happen here. Who knows what it could be? I think we need that kind of protection.
We have,
We did.
we just appointed, Vinnie's gonna take that role temporarily until tomorrow night.
Until tomorrow night, and if you pass it tomorrow night, okay, if not, what?
No, speak, the resolution in the interim
No.
has been passed, will be passed.
Okay.
They haven't voted on it yet. Okay, and then tomorrow night, they'll make a decision moving forward.
Oh, okay.
All
So
in
we're covered.
favor of Vinnie as a temporary in the resolution,
I'll make a motion in a second.
let's make a motion, somebody to appoint Vinnie as our temporary interim manager.
Point of order. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna make the motion.
And I'll second it, point of order. Does it have to have a number?
The resolution number?
Yeah.
No, that's just an internal
Okay.
use.
Okay. First, you offered and John second? Did you say?
Yeah.
Okay. John offered, Rob second. Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Napolitani.
Yes.
Council members Achara.
Yes.
Donlin.
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes.
And Mayor Siciliano.
Yes. And that concludes our business. Thank you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow, whoever's interested in joining our meeting. Meeting's adjourned.
I didn't want you guys hanging out there.
No, he took care of it.